Now there's not a lot of guitars out there that could leave me speechless, but when I opened the case on this for the first time, I was literally lost for words. I just sat there staring at this thing, so unique, so beautiful. Let's check it out. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. Yep, we got something pretty special in the studio, and unlike any guitar I've ever played before. This is a Zemaitis. Now the guys from Zemaitis sent this over to the channel, so big thanks to those guys. And of course, we'll give it the full rundown. Tones, specs, overall construction, ergonomics, the whole deal, and try to figure out what this guitar is all about. All right, so let's quickly highlight some specs so we know what we're dealing with before we plug this thing in. I'm pretty eager to see what this thing is going to sound like, but let's start on the headstock. Now this guitar is made in Japan, and as you guys can see, it's a 3+3 design. There's binding on the headstock, there's an ebony veneer, and as you can see, some really beautiful etching. I mean, that truss rod cover is just next level beautiful. Really nice design. On the back side, you can see we've got some Goto locking tuners, so that's great. Flipping back to the front, we've got a bone nut. Really important to keep a 3+3 design in tune, so that's really nice. And when we look up close, you can see cut. Very, very nice. Now moving past the bone nut, we've got an ebony fingerboard with binding on it. And in my opinion, ebony, absolutely the right call for a guitar like this. Just offsets the silver really nice. And all the ebony is just a very, very deep and consistent black. So looks fantastic. On the back side here, we've got mahogany neck, mahogany body with these metal cavity covers. If we have time, we'll take a peek under there and just see what the electronics are like at the end of the video. And other than that, a few little rounded off contours here. I particularly like this little cheek area. I don't know if that'll show up on camera. I'll just check the monitor there. But yeah, just the way the body rolls over and incorporates the neck pocket there. Just a nice little touch. Feels great on the hand. Other than that, let's take a closer look at the body. Now, of course, the big showstopper on this guitar is the full metal engraved top that covers the full face of the guitar, and detailing even down to areas like the output jack, which also matches with some engraving. You know, pretty incredible detailing. Pickup covers also engraved, but I just want to highlight the bridge a little bit. I'll take a few shots for you guys. Just a very robust bridge, super thick casting, you know, lots of throw on the saddles. The saddles themselves, very beefy. So lots of room to get perfect intonation. So yeah, just a really unique and interesting bridge. And yeah, I mean, the top speaks for itself. So that's a quick tour of this guitar. If you guys want the full detailed specs, you can check it out in the video description below. We'll talk about things like neck profile, overall weight, balance, all that kind of stuff after, but we can't put off plugging it in anymore. We got to see what this thing sounds like. Let's start with some light, kind of bluesy breakup. Here we go. Next up, let's add a healthy dose of overdrive. Here we go. All right, let's crank up that distortion and check out some heavy riffs. And finally, let's check out some basic clean tones. Next up, let's put the Zemaitis into a mix. I'm going to jam over a backing track. Link to the track, as always, is in the video description below. You can check it out there. It's time for the 1 minute solo. Next up, let's tackle the playability. So we're talking about ergonomics, weight, balance, all the things that contribute to how a guitar plays. So important, oftentimes forgotten. So let's tackle that here. Now, let's deal with the elephant in the room. This is a single cut guitar. It's got a metal top and it's completely mahogany. This thing has got to be a heavy beast, right? Well, not so much. The first time I pulled it out of the case, which was about a month ago, you guys know I like to really get to know an instrument before I feature it. But yeah, the first time I picked it up, I was like, wait a second, this doesn't feel like it's going to break my back. What's going on? So I threw it on the scale and I was like, oh man, it feels maybe like 8.5 pounds. It's so light for a guitar like this. I put it on and it was closer to 7.5. I'll put the exact weight there. I think it was somewhere between, 7.5, maybe 7.7, somewhere in there. Surprisingly and shockingly light. So if you like this style of single cut guitar, but you don't like something that's going to break your back, this is actually a pretty surprising option. So yeah, very, very cool. And in terms of the rest of playability, balance, it's very well balanced. I guess you guys can't see that, but there's no headstock dive, not even a hint of it here. So it's very well balanced. So if you like to set your guitar like this on your strap, it'll stay there, or like this, or whatever, or down low. You're never going to be fighting with the weight of the neck diving, which can be frustrating. So yeah, it just sits where it should. Nicely balanced, especially since you've got locking tuners, which does add a little bit of weight to the headstock. So very pleased with that. So it sits more like, a PRS than maybe some Gibsons, which is a good thing. And other than that, really love the satin on the neck. Speaking of like PRS and Gibson, every time I try one out or demo one on the channel, I'm like, man, I would love a satin option on the neck. And here, it's standard. So you just get that nice smooth satin and you're not fighting with the glossiness, which not everybody does like. So awesome to see that as an option here. So yeah, other than that, I mean, it is a single cut, so you're not going to get like, deep contours and stuff here. It is more of a traditional design. So you can get to, the upper frets decently, but it is, more of a traditional design here. But it is nicely rounded everywhere. But no like belly cuts or contours. So it is more traditional that way. Now in terms of the neck profile, this is really hard to show on camera, but I'll just take a few shots and maybe it'll give you guys an idea. But basically it's sort of a soft V, not a lot of width on either side, and just a little thicker right down the spine. So if you like a guitar that you can kind of just like grasp and have it sit in your hand really nice, that's kind of the profile on here. So not like baseball bat by any means, so it's, you know, a nice thinner profile, but just a little thickness on the spine, not as much on the shoulders. Next up, let's take a peek inside some of these cavity covers. Now, I mean, each one is pretty much a work of art by itself. Really beautiful stuff. So let's set those aside and just take a gander. So, I mean, not much to see there. There's a little grounding wire. That's good to see. And in the main cavity here, so clean, crazy. So we've got CTS pots, and you can see they have the treble bleed mod there too. And I've got to say, I've never seen on the inside of a cover like really finished and kind of like contoured on the insides of the cover. So that's pretty cool for sure as well. And I also pulled off the output jack. I don't know if that'll show up there. I'll maybe take a shot of it for you guys. But yeah, everything is just really nice and clean. But yeah, the main one, boy, I have not seen one like that in a long time. That is very, very beautiful and so clean. So just a great attention to detail there. And again, here you can't really see too much there, but yeah, everything looks really good. And of course, all the other elements that you would expect on a high-end guitar are on point. Nice and smooth, shined up frets on the faces and on the fret ends, and nice little details like the way the fingerboard kind of terminates into the pickup ring, nicely angled. So here are my final thoughts on the Zemaitis. Well, in terms of construction, in terms of fit and finish, this is not just a well-built guitar. This is exquisitely well built, and so it should be. They only make about 40 of these guitars every single year, so the amount of care and detail is evident from the moment you pick it up. It definitely is a custom instrument. And I think the big draw with Zemaitis is, of course, the unique engraved metal top and the history of the brand and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of like, well, what does it compare against? Well, it's priced to compare against Gibson, to compare against PRS, maybe even the lower end Fender Custom Shop. So not maybe as high as, you know, people might assume, because, you know, Gibson and PRS and the Fender Custom Shop sell a ton of guitars every single year. And I think this definitely compares favorably in terms of, yeah, the uniqueness of it, in terms of how it sounds and how it plays, and just the overall beauty. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demo. I try to show interesting and unique things on this channel, and this Zemaitis definitely falls into that category. You can check out all my information, the gear I use, the guitar, all that stuff in the video description below. Other than that, have yourself a great day.